Hey sis, each month inside Entrusted Women University, we feature a brand new interview. You can watch the full interview only in Entrusted Women University, but you can check out this snippet right now.
You need to go to the hospital. And I'm like, okay, you're gonna go to the hospital. I go to the hospital and they, well-meaning, my loving family says, tell him everything. And I did. And that doctor looked at me like, oh, you can't go home. I said, what? I can't go home. And they put me on a stretcher, put my arms on the thing, put me in an ambulance, and took me to a mental hospital on a 72-hour hold. They took my ring, they took my bra, they took my shoestrings.
Hey, Entrusted Women, I hope you guys are doing well. I am excited to have a new but old friend. I've interviewed her before, but now for different reasons. Hey, Dominique, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good. I'm excited to be here today. Thank you for having me.
Child, I'm excited to have her too, you too, because I feel like Dominique's kind of homegrown, but not completely homegrown, in the sense that she came through Entrusted Women. She did a YouVersion devotional. She came to the conference, the online conference that we had, and she started her YouTube channel. Then she blew up. Then she got a book deal, so it's kind of like what I'm trying to say to women, y'all come, let's do this. This is a step-by-step process. But anyways, I'm gonna let her tell her story. Let me read a little bit about Dominique. So in the event that you don't know who she is, you can learn. She's an author, speaker, and a Bible teacher who's passionate about helping people navigate life's hard questions with faith and hope. And she wrote, God, Where Are You? Which is a question I know I've asked, from her own journey, wrestling with God in seasons of doubt, disappointment, and waiting. And she wants to share the encouragement and the insight that she's discovered along the way. Yes, and amen. She loves speaking at churches, conferences, and women's gatherings because nothing excites her more than seeing people realize that they're not alone. And she hopes, and that hope is always within reach. So her heart is to walk alongside you and me, helping us to see God's presence even when life feels heavy. I love that. And we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about all the things, talk about her book and all of that. But I think first I want to say, I want to know, what do I want to know? I want to know, how are you? Let's talk about how are you, because those of you who have never published a book traditionally may not know that it's a whole lot. Like it's a whole lot. You may not even know your name by the time you get to, or know your children's names, or what day it is, because it is a lot. So how are you, Dominique?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I think I agree with you. Sometimes I forget my kids' names. I forget my birthday, all the
You
things,
know
because it
who
has
you
been
are.
crazy. It has been crazy. But I also wanted to mention, I think I am homegrown from Entrusted Women. So my life changed in the 2020, I believe it was the 2020 or the
It was
2021.
29. It was
It was the
2020.
COVID conference, the one you had to pivot.
The COVID
And
conference.
the COVID
That's what you can
conference.
call it, the COVID conference. Okay.
The one where you had to pivot. And I'll be honest, like, I didn't have a YouTube channel before then. There was no Mornings with Jesus before then. I wasn't thinking about writing no book before then. At that point, I had a Facebook group that was kind of growing, and I didn't understand why, because that was not my intention. But then I kind of was like, well, let me go to this conference. Somebody had told me about it. I had already been a part of the group and things. And my life really did change after that. So I really will say my life has changed. So the reason that I got a book, the only reason I was thinking about book publishing was because I wrote a YouVersion plan. The only reason I wrote a YouVersion plan was because I was part of Entrusted Women University. And so I wrote this YouVersion plan that did really well. And then it was like, when are you going to write a book? I was like, what book? I thought I had a YouVersion plan. That was it. And so, yeah, I really will say I feel homegrown. My agent I met through Entrusted Women, like everything. Like, I agree. I am homegrown, and I feel like I'm doing well. And I think a lot of it has to do with the community that I have built through Entrusted Women. Like, a lot of people that I met here check on me. I mean, when I was in the thick of like writing the book because right now, like it's about to come out. But when I was in the thick of writing it, I was struggling like really hard. In the editing process, I was struggling. And now I think I'm just kind of in a place where I'm like, what's next? I don't know. I'm asking my publisher probably way too many questions. I hope I'm not getting on their nerves. But overall, I think because of the community that's here in Entrusted Women, I feel like I'm doing pretty good.
Awesome sauce, y'all. Listen, I want to make sure and be clear that we're not talking about magic. We're not talking about you come to the conference and voila, there is work involved. But I think we are talking about getting access to information to know how to do X, Y, and Z, and then um, leveraging the information that you receive so that you can move forward and accomplish maybe what you thought was impossible. So I did want to say that because there's work. The Bible say, work as unto the Lord, right? So there is work involved. And if anybody has worked, it's definitely Dominique. She goes live on YouTube almost every day of her entire life. You know what I'm saying? Like every single YouTube don't want me to go live. Those of you out there, you would be like, could somebody call her and tell her, please don't go live today? And just use that time to rest and seek God. But Dominique has faithfully done that, and it was that in connection to a lot of other smart, wise decisions that she made that ultimately opened the door for that. So, can you talk about your publishing process?
Hmm. Yeah. So I guess the
She said,
journey.
That's
Yeah.
not an answer. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Who is the answer?
It was an interesting journey. Okay, so I'll give you the Cliff Note version. So this was my journey. Um, After I wrote the U version plan, um, people just kept asking me about a book. And I was like, I don't have a
Wait,
book.
what
I
people? What
just
people?
there was people that read the plan and they're like, oh, do you have a book? Are you going to write a book? And then there was you connected me to a potential agent or somebody that was interested, and I was like, why are these, what, I'm not a writer. That's what I kept saying, because writing was not my communication style of choice. I prefer speaking. I prefer like engaging. That's why I go live. Like that's where I'm comfortable. And so this went on for a little bit of time, and then in December, the Lord just was like, I need you to write this book. And I'm like, what book?
What you talking
And
about, Lord?
I'm like, what book?
What you
I'm not
talking
a
about?
writer. That's what I just kept saying. I'm like, I'm not a writer. Like, I don't know what's going on. And so then Javon had a her call for submissions was about to close. Like it was like a week. And her call for submissions was about to close. I had now I do not recommend anybody do this, but this is just my journey. I had nothing written down. I had no book. I had no idea. I had no nothing. And I went to my husband and I said, I believe that God wants me to write this book and that I'm supposed to submit a proposal to Javon, like before her window closes in a week. And I had nothing. And so he was like, okay. And so he's like, I'll watch the kids and you just write. And this was like, it was like a week
Wait a
before
minute.
the
Shout out to the man
yeah.
of God.
Yes. Come on now.
Wait,
Hallelujah.
how many kids do you have?
I have, at that time we had 4. So we now have our godson, which is 5. But at that time we had 4.
But four though.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
God bless you, man of God. If you look at this interview, may the
Come
Lord
on.
bless and keep you.
Yes, yes. And he was very encouraging and excited about it. He was like, I'll watch him. And he did. I mean, they had waffles and cereal for almost every meal, but hey, it got done.
And that's all
And
right.
and so then I submitted the proposal. I wrote it within 4 days. I submitted it and I was like, this is bananas. We'll see what happens. And she accepted my proposal. And I was like, really? Okay. I got really excited. I was like, okay, praise the Lord. And then the holidays hit, and then she said, okay, well, we're gonna shop this around. I don't think we'll have a problem because of the topic. And so the topic was about the intersection between suffering and faith. And I mean, I feel like since COVID or before, but really these last couple years, everybody's just kind of been trying to
Baby,
find God in the
we
dark.
all out here dealing with a measure.
Right. Yep.
Okay. I'm
Yep.
like, Jesus,
Yep. That part. Where you at? Where you at, God?
where you at? Because I mean, I'm not on the cross.
Right. That
Okay,
part.
keep going.
That part. But yeah, so then she began to shop it around, and within like 2 months, I had a couple of options, which was amazing. And then we ended up going with my awesome publisher, Nav Press, which I'm really excited about. And then after that, I had to actually write the book. I had to
That
actually
part.
write the book. And so I was like, all right, I can do this. And I think I got a couple thousand words in and got a massive writer's block. I'm like, I can't do this. Like, I was ready to give the part of the advance back. I was like, I
I
cannot,
didn't know that. That's funny.
I can't do this. They picked the wrong person. Like, I was struggling. I had entirely too many things on my plate because I didn't realize that when you write, you should probably take some things off your plate and not try to keep everything you are already doing on top of trying to write. So I really, really struggled. And then I ended up going to a kind of like a solo retreat to go and write.
God, we
And
thank you.
yes, that really helped. It was like the oof. And then after that, the words came and it was just like, go, go, go. And it was awesome. So then in January of 2026, no, 2025, we're not even 2026 yet. In January of 2025,
It
I
feel like that.
submitted,
Yeah.
I know, it feels like the years are blurring. I
Honey,
submitted,
I'm not gonna say anything.
yep, yeah, it just blurred. It was like a blur's day, all of it. But in January 2026, I submitted, um,
2025.
yeah, what'd you say?
You said 2026.
2025. 2025.
We
See,
know what year it is, y'all, but it's been a year.
it's
Okay,
been a
so if we say
year.
2026, you know what year it is.
Yeah, I feel
But
like I'm
it will be
already
2026 when this airs, though. So
right.
never mind.
But yeah, so then I submitted the full manuscript, and then it went into editing. That process was crazy. I thought that I thought developmental edits was all there was. Like, no, yeah, I thought that was it. I thought there was one editor. I didn't know there was two and three. I didn't know it goes through
Mhm.
all these processes. So I was
Right.
like, once it went through one, I was like, oh, I'm good. Okay, great. We made it through. Woo. By that time, I had read this book a ridiculous amount of times. My eyes were blurring. Half the time I was like, is it good? I don't even know anymore. And then, it went through some more editing. And so, yeah, that's been my journey. It feels like it was warp speed. I mean, it started in 20, and now I got to get my dates right. 2023 is when I submitted my proposal to Javon. And since then, it just feels like I've been like, warp speed, learning so much. Everybody in the publishing world, at least my experience that I work with, they're so chill. And I'm like, okay, what's next? What happens at this point? Am I behind? Am I ahead? And they're like, it's okay. Just calm down. You're fine. It's fine. And so I've been learning a lot. It's been quite the journey. It's been feels like a 2-year marathon. But here we
That sounds so good. There's a couple things I was like, oh, I need to make sure I follow up on that. She's talking about Javon Bolden, who happens to be my agent too, and her agent with Bolden Media Group. So you can head over there and check her out if you've never heard about her. And I think I just want to say, that's why there is a degree of dare I say credibility. I'm not discounting my self-published, indie published friends. I love you all. I might be you guys, with the book I'm writing right now. But what I'm saying is the amount of vetting that a book goes through is what provides or lays the foundation for that type of credibility. So when you say I went through the process, which is roughly like a 3-year process to pitch a book, to have a book acquired, to write the book, to have the book go through developmental editing and proofreading and then all copy editing, all these different things, then it's like a degree of credibility that
go.
is not always immediately ascribed to an indie book. No shade, no disrespect. Don't hate the messenger. I just want you to be educated, and then the other thing that people we don't talk about a lot, Dominique, is that the book you write is the book you live, right?
Mhm.
So even though you've already lived it, you kind of relive it again and you get some additional warfare, like from the north, south, east, and west, from the
Mm.
northwest, from the southeast. You're like,
Mhm.
is happening to me, so that's another thing that happens in addition to like needing to free up your schedule. You need to pray and fast
Mhm.
because stuff does happen to you where you're like, oh my gosh, can I write this book? Can I talk preach this message, or can I promote this book? Do I have what it takes? Have I really overcome in the way in which I'm telling people I have? Did you walk through that any during your journey?
I feel like I walked through that right before this interview. Yes. I feel like yes, absolutely. I think that when you write anything, especially when it's really close to your personal lived experience, first of all, that's just challenging. It's hard to put those things on paper and to read them over and over and over. Because, like you
Right.
said, with traditional publishing, you are constantly in that manuscript, constantly in that book over and over and over again. I've had to have some of the hardest conversations that I didn't even think of because of some of the story links that I was telling in the book that referenced other people that I had to talk to about it. And that was really hard. I had a really hard conversation with my dad. That was challenging. So this was all like throughout this whole journey, it was also a process for me, warfare, and then also just dealing with things that I'm like, oh, I thought we dealt with that. Oh no, okay, we're gonna deal with it now. Okay, cool. So yeah, and then I think now I'm in a place where I'm getting out there with the book. I'm talking to people. So like this interview, I'm like, okay, woo, now I gotta talk about the process of writing it and what it's about and be coherent so that people can understand and do it without bursting into tears because some of the parts of the story are hard. I have to read an audiobook of the entire story without crying because I have to get through this book and there are tough parts. And so yeah, it's challenging. It's a good challenge. I enjoyed it. But I would be lying if I said it wasn't tough, if there weren't parts where I literally was like, I quit today and probably tomorrow.
I quit today. I love that. You know, what you're saying is so good. The part about having to go and have conversations with people. And I think, like, for me, with my book, to go from ideation to publication, it was 26 years.
Mm.
And there was a lot of whining on my part of like, why it ain't my turn, God? I don't know why you gave her a book deal. I but sometimes during that span of time between what we pray for and when we actually receive it, God is doing some deep healing, introspective work on us. He's mending hearts, He's mending relationships, He's allowing conversations to take place. So I think that is a little bit of what you described. And then in my case, the publisher had me ask my dad to sign an information release form. Did you have to do anything like that?
No, I didn't. And the portion of so your book is amazing and it covers quite a bit. This one is like snippets
Okay.
of things. And so this was a snippet and it really was more about my processing, but it had like, I'm telling you, it was like 3 sentences that involved my
That could
dad.
require an hour-long conversation.
And
You
it
know what I'm
did.
saying?
And
Right.
it did. And it did require an hour, multiple hour long. And it was one of those things where I thought, oh, it's fine. Like, I'm like, we've talked about this, but I guess seeing it in print. And when he saw, he was like, wait a minute. No, we need to talk. And so we actually had I think it was like 2 hour long conversation over 3 sentences in the book. And so yeah. And interestingly, this for me wasn't necessarily a dream of mine to write a book initially. And it was also never a desire of mine to talk about depression and anxiety. Like that was what I never want to talk about. Like I'm like,
Right.
no thanks. I will
I wanna
forget
write
this
a book
part.
about depression and anxiety one day.
No, I'm like, I want to not be depressed. How about that?
Right, right, right,
And
right.
so, because my story with depression, anxiety, and a couple of other mental health issues like postpartum psychosis, which I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy, like these are parts of my story that I wanted to take a massive eraser and just pretend like they didn't exist. And so God saying, I need you to write a book about it. I'm like, are you kidding? We were supposed to forget that and move on to greener pastures. And so it definitely was an interesting journey. Now, my healing journey took place before I wrote the book. I would highly recommend, you don't want to be on starting your healing journey and writing a book. That would be, ooh, goodness. But I had been in counseling for an extended period of time. I've been navigating mental and emotional health. I've been navigating my faith within those spaces. Like, what does faith look like when you are suicidal? Like, what does that look like? So I'd been navigating that for quite a long time with support from professionals before even stepping into the realm of writing a book. And so I praise God and thank God for all those years spent healing. But even while writing the book, I noticed that there was still parts of the journey that
Residue,
needed to be, yeah,
residue. It's like,
exactly.
that
You like, oh,
residue of hurt.
I thought I was good. Oh.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, I was talking with another author that we were saying, we think we're writing the book for somebody else, but in actuality, God oftentimes has us write the book to heal ourselves for
Mhm.
us. I'm not discounting what you're saying though about needing to do some practical healing work and all that prior to writing the book, but I'm saying there's a just a baking and a sealant. I'm thinking about a sealant, that God does as you write the book, and then the process of talking about the book. It's just like God bakes inside of you that healing and that,
Mhm.
just, you're done.
Yeah.
You are done. You're not what's the word if you talk about meat? Rare.
Right.
You're not rare. You are well done.
Yep. That's real.
Because God has done a work on the inside of you. Um, okay, so let's get into it. God says, I want to talk about suffering and anxiety. And you're like, what you talking about, God?
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, how has it been being vulnerable? And let me, before I say that, I want to say to you all out there, this may not be Dominique's story, but it is my story because I felt like God was calling me to write a book when I was in high school. And at that point, it was all about me. It was about me becoming famous and me getting my name out there and me being well known. And then when I started writing the book, I was like, oh, this is vulnerable. And I got to share my scars, and I got to share my yuck, and I got to share my mistakes. And this could be humiliating and embarrassing. I just want to say to you all that's out there, that's what God oftentimes does. He takes the things that we don't want to talk about, we don't want to tell anybody about, that we're maybe ashamed of, or, our low moments. And he uses those as his portraits of grace in the earth. That's what really helps people. It's not that, look at me, I'm so fabulous, my hair's so fabulous, my kids are fabulous, my husband's fabulous, and everybody rises and calls me blessed. That's not what's going to bring actual transformation. It's when you say, no, I have been so jacked up. Like, I'm jacked up right now. It's not even, it's nothing but the grace of God. That's really what does it. Okay, so anyways, now we're going to get into it. Your journey of being vulnerable, depression,
Mhm.
anxiety, shame, grief, spiritual doubt, as while being
Mhm.
a Christian leader. Because Christians, we ain't supposed to have no problem.
Yeah. That part.
Talk about it.
Oh man. So interestingly, when you had mentioned like the desire to kind of want to be famous and things like when we're younger, I think that I had that too. I wanted to be a speaker. I knew I wanted to be a communicator of some sort. And, when I was in high school, I did all the oratory competitions and all that stuff. And, I loved feeling like I was valued, and because there were so many places where I didn't feel that way. And I'd struggled with depression for a long period of time. And in the book, I talked about how I became a Christian when I was 18, right before college. And I thought that immediately the depression was going to disappear. Like the hiding was going to disappear. I was immediately going to feel the love of Jesus all the time and just feel like I belonged. And strangely enough, I felt worse, and I began to
You're
cover
like, God,
myself,
what is this?
right? I covered myself with more costumes. I talk about this in the book than I did before I was a Christian, because now I'm like, oh, Jesus did all this for me. I should be grateful. I should be fine. I should be this.
Mm-hmm.
Like all these people are like, all of the great things that Jesus has done. What's wrong with me? And so I got really good at putting on the churchy costume. I looked the part. I was super happy. I would go to work and smile. I would pray. Oh, let me pray for you. Blah, 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 blah. Like I learned how to maneuver in those
Right.
spaces. I was leading the worship team, and it was so interesting. There was a point in time where I was so depressed. Nobody knew it, not even my husband. When I had got married, he didn't realize I was depressed and anxious and all that stuff. But I was leading worship one time and I was crying, and everybody's crying, and they were like, oh, I loved how that worship song moved you. And I was like crying because I'm sad. Like I was like really sad. And
Not worshiping. No, I'm
right,
sad.
I was just like straight sad. And I'm like, well, everybody else is crying. This is great. I don't have to wear a mask. I can cry, because they'll just think that, oh, she's just caught up in the moment. And I was like, I'm really sad, everybody. And so the week before my initial sermon, when I was in my early 20s, I was put in a mental hospital. I had a complete breakdown. And
Wow.
yeah, it was at work. This is
What
the
does
moment
that
that
mean, Dominique? Because I mean, all I'm seeing is like some movie where like everybody's got on white
yeah,
and
that's
a
what it feels like.
wheelchair, straight jacket.
I mean, I didn't have a straight jacket, but almost everything else you named.
Were you
So
in like a room where you couldn't?
yes. So this is just long story short. I worked with children that had extreme behavioral issues and a lot of mental health issues and things. And I was going through depression. So I was pregnant. That's one thing. I was also going through depression, anxiety, and what I didn't know at the time was perinatal psychosis. Or I was hearing voices. It was crazy. And then on top of that, it was going on for a while, and I was so embarrassed that I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my husband. I didn't tell my pastor. I didn't tell anybody. And I was just like, God, please heal me in private. Like, I'm like, just heal me, heal me, heal me, heal me. Just take it away. Like, nobody has to know. Like,
We could do this on Tuesday. I'm
right,
good at 7 p.m. What about you guys?
exactly. Just take it away. Nobody has to know. And I was dealing with a crisis that a child was having, and I was in my own crisis, fighting these voices, trying to stay present, like trying not to cry. And when you're dealing with children with these extreme needs, you got to be present. You could really hurt somebody.
Listen, you gotta be girded up.
You do. And
Breastplate of
so
righteousness.
you do. And so
You
I
gotta
left.
be.
After I dealt with him, I left. I didn't tell anybody, because that was my thing. I just never told. I left my job and didn't tell anybody I was leaving. Like I had classes I was supposed to teach. My husband worked in the same classroom as me, and nobody knew where I was. I was in the car driving with tears streaming down my face. Like I don't know where to go. I went to my aunt because I knew she dealt with mental health things with family members. And I was like, I don't know what to do. And she was like, Tommy, you need to go to the hospital. And I'm like, okay. You're gonna go to the hospital. I go to the hospital, and they, well-meaning, my loving family says, tell him everything. And I did. And that doctor looked at me like, oh, you can't go home. I said, what? I can't go home? And they put me on a stretcher, put my arms on a thing, put me in an ambulance, and took me to a mental hospital on a 72-hour hold. They took my ring, they took my bra, they took my shoestrings.
Not your bra. Not your bra. You
everything.
can't keep your bra.
You can't, because you could hang yourself. Yep. So they take everything that you could possibly commit suicide with. They take your ring. They take your everything. Everything. Took my glasses. I could barely see. Like, the beds,
like glasses. What can
they
you do
look
with
like-
the glasses?
I don't know. I guess somebody should do something. The bed sheets are nailed to the bed. Like you can't even take the bed sheets and move them. It was
Wow.
the most life-changing experience that I never want to do again.
Hey sis, I hope you enjoyed that interview snippet, and I want you to be sure and check out Entrusted Women University by visiting membership.entrustedwomen.com to see the interviews in their entirety. And join us next week for more content to help you on your writing and speaking journey.